true and faithful relation of what passed for many years between Dr. John Dee and some spirits, 1659. We are continuing the Saturday, the 18th of April, 1587 operation. Dee said, "Hereupon we were in great amazement and grief of mind, that so hard, and, as it yet seemed unto me, so impure a doctrine was propounded and enjoined unto us of them, whom I always from the beginning hitherto did judge and esteem undoubtedly to be good angels, and had under Edward Kelly offered my soul as a pawn to discharge Edward Kelly, his crediting of them as the good and faithful ministers of Almighty God. But now my my heart was sore afflicted upon many causes, and Edward Kelly had, as he thought now, a just and sufficient cause to forsake dealing with them any more, as his prayer to God of a long time hath been, as in the former part of this action may appear, after our going out of the chapel, and at our being at dinner, when we four, whose heads so were united in a pillar, showed, as is before set down, I found means to make some little declaration of our great grief, mine chiefly, now occasioned, either to try us, or really to be executed, in the common and indifferent using of matrimonial acts amongst any couple of us four, which thing was strange to the women, and they hoped of some more comfortable issue of the cause. And so we left off, after dinner, as Edward Kelly was alone, and there appeared unto him little creatures of a cubit high, and they came to the still, where he had the spirit of wine distilling over out of a catorto, and one of them, whose name they expressed Ben, said that it was in vain so to hope for the best spirit of the wine, and showed him how to distill it, and separate it better, and moreover how to get oil out of the spirit of wine, as it burned in the lamps, and began to ask Edward Kelly what countryman he was. And when he had answered, an Englishman, he asked then how he came hither, and he answered by sea. Then said he, and who helped you to pass the marvelous great dangers of the sea? And so took occasion to speak of the benefits which God had hitherto done for us, very many. And this Ben said then, among very many other things, as Edward Kelly told me on Saturday night after supper, holding on this talk, almost 2 of the clock after midnight, that he it was that delivered him, or gave unto his hands the powder. And also he said, either then or the next day at the furthest, that unleast he would be conformable to the will of God. In this last action declared that he would take the virtue and force of the powder from it, that it should be unprofitable, and that he should become a beggar. Now in the margin it says, Ben was the deliverer of the powder to Edward Kelly at the digging in New England. Note, unleased conditionally. Queen Elizabeth and King Philip. Remember that Metallica video, All Nightmare Long? And of me also, he said, that I did evil to require proof, or testimony now, that this last doctrine was from God Almighty, and said that I should be led prisoner to Rome, and so on. He told of England and said that about July or November Her Majesty should from heaven be destroyed, and that about the same time the King of Spain should die, and that this present Pope at his Mass should be deprived of life before 2 years to an end, and that another should be Pope, who should be Decimus Quintus of his name, and that he would begin to reform things, but that shortly he should of the cardinals be stoned to death, and that after that there should be no Pope for some years. And one of the things that we find is, yes, people have been hit by falling things, lightning and whatnot, but it's even been so rare that we find fossils of animals and people that were hit by meteors. Very rare, but literally like through the head or something, and people say it must be a bullet, and it's like some of it indicates that no, it was going fast. Well, but any out of billions of creatures, certainly a few of them would be went through with a little rock or something. In the margin of England, England, he said, after the death of our dear Queen, one of the house of Austria, made mighty by the King of Spain, his death, should invade and conquer the land, and so on. He said one, now abroad, should at Milford Haven enter, and by the help of the Britons subdue the said conqueror, and that one Morgan Breton should be made king of the Britons, and next to him one Rowland, and so on. Is it Morgan, one of the richest families in the world? He said also that this Francis Garland was an espy upon us from the Lord Treasurer of England, and that Edward Garland is not his brother, and so the matter is agreed between them, and so on. Francis Garland, Edward Garland in the margin, that my Lord Rosenberg should be in danger of poisoning for these certain months to come, that my tables of Enoch were in some places falsely written, of Antichrist he spake, and of his appearing, of Eli and Enoch coming out of paradise, or is Eli, E-L-Y, but we're giving English pronunciation, so Eli and Enoch coming out of paradise, and of St. John Evangelist, that he died not, but in Patmos had his invisible being, and that it was who did give Julianus Apostata his death's wound. He said also that he hath at divers times preached visibly, since the time of his invisible state entered. And on the margin we have Enoch's tables, Antichrist, Eli, Enoch, Johannes Evangelista. He confirmed the words of the great famine and bloodshed that should come shortly. He said that on every side of us people should be slain, but that we should, by the divine protection, escape. He said that shortly this Francis Garland should go into England, and that we should be sent for, but that it were best to refuse their calling us home. He said that there were 4 others who were made also privy of God, his mysteries, as we were, with whom we should meet at Rome. He said that Mary and one more in England should see the wonderful days to come. Medina appeared to him there also. The same Ben went once away, mounting up in a flame of fire, and afterward, upon occasion of asking him somewhat, he came down so again, and of the manner how to draw the oil of the spirit of wine being burnt, he brought thither the instruments of the 2 silver dishes, whelmed one upon another, with a hole passing through the middle of them both, and with sponge between them, in which the oil would remain, and so on. In the margin we have God our Protector, Francis Garland unto England, refuse calling home for Ellis Participes Horum Mysteriorum, Mary my old maid Ben. After all these and many other things told me by the same Mr. Edward Kelly, we departed each to his bed, where I found my wife awake, attending to hear some new matter of me from Mr. Kelly. His reports of the apparitions continued with him above 4 hours. Being else alone, I then told her and said, Jane, I see that there is no other remedy, but as hath been said of our Burcross matching. So it must needs be done. About 2 o'clock, after midnight, Jane D. says, thereupon she fell a weeping and trembling for a quarter of an hour, and I pacified her as well as I could, and so, in the fear of God, and in believing of his admonishment, did persuade her that she showed herself prettily resolved to be content for God his sake, and his secret purposes, to obey the admonishment. The triangle D. Note, because I have found so much halting and untruth in Edward Kelly, his reports to me made of spiritual creatures, where I have not been present at an action, and because his memory may fail him, and because he was subject to ill tempers, I believe so much hereof as shall by better trial be found true or conformable to truth. There, April 20th. D. Note, Edward Kelly this day had diverse apparitions to him in his own chamber, and instructions in diverse matters, which he regarded not, but remained still in his purpose of utterly discrediting those creatures, and not to have any more to do with them. But among diverse apparitions he noted this of one has said unto him, Join Enoch his tables, give every place his running number. Edward Kelly said, What do you mean by places? Then he said, The squares which done refer every letter in the table to his number, and so read what I will, for this is the last time I will admonish you. Edward Kelly said, A man standeth in the air in a fiery globe of my height, accompanied with some 100 of puppets. On the one side of him standeth a woman, and about her are 4 clouds, all white. The man upon a white triangle, D, showed these numbers with spaces, as you see following. So, 228, 409, skip 5, 274, skip 1, 272, skip 1, 225, skip 1, 250, skip 2, 131, 251, skip 2, 303, and then 9. We're reversing the next column, but and D said, I perceive that commonly one is to be abated of the number. And so we have 49, 218, 410, 505, and then we have a line 603, 149, 173, 197, 175, 177, 273, 416, After 416, we have a line. After 197, we have a line between 226, 441, 251, 586, 83, 132, a line again, 253, 277, 39, 304, then a line, 401, 496, 592, 90, 355, 618, 20, 501, 597, and then a line, and we have even more the next column. You could say 7 columns. I'm not sure how this is being broken up here. 466, 597, 502, 550, 119, 264, 312, 24, 338, 411, 603, 604, 150, 414, 395, 467, 519, 53, 59, 68, 418, 444, 355, 497, 20, 116, 286, 604, 610, 480, 182, 98, 401. And 401, we have a line after 287, we have a line after 68, we have a line after 519, we have a line after 414, we have a line after 411, we have a line after, and we move to the next column, 495 and 63, then we have a line, 306, 473, 517, 363, 247, 271, 367, 89, 65, and we have a line, 11, 46, 267, 228, 331, 97, we have a line, 269, 244, 400, 23, a line, 75, 178, 586, 545, 18, 43, we have a line, 25, 17, we have a line, 165, 165, 93, 52, 511, 175, 170, a line. Then we move on to the fifth column here, 46 and 607, a line, 228, and we have that number again. I don't think they're supposed to be doubles, but that's what's subscribed. Well, I mean, I didn't initially think of it. Anyways, 228, 179, 141, 22, 403, 370, a line, 97, 243, 80, 552, a line, 295, 46, a line, 163, 418, 311, a line, 222, 150, 253, 395, 538, 156, 46, 55, 7, a line, 123, 433, 151, 197, a line. 7 and 197 have a line against it. Oh, okay, 285, 335, 621, 544, 352, 295, a line, 395, well, starts the next column, 395, 254, 566, 423, a line, 214, 261, 59, 494, a line, 517, 116, 103, a line, 405, 170, a line, 25, 606, 466, 490, 620, a line, 63, 32, 196, 224, 512, 20, 338, 290, a line, 620 is a line, 244, 72, 340, 195, 314, 495, 284, no line, 152, 418, 82, a line, 320, 491, 390, 414, 366, a line, 239, a line, 192, now, 182, 460, a line, 163, 175, 171, 73, a line, 418, 214, a line, 498, 96, 188, 331, 136, a line, 335, 408, 452, 424, 97. 152 to 97, the last column of the, but there's this line dividing this first bit and these other 6 columns. I know I've fallen behind in sharing of the Latin, but perhaps after note, when Edward Kelly had showed me this note, I by and by brought forth my book of Enoch his tables, and found the 4 letters R, uppercase T, B, D to be the 4 first letters of the 4 principal squares standing about the black cross, and that here they were to be placed otherwise than I had set them. Are those the reverse letters? And in the first placing them together, I remember that I had doubt how to join them, for they were given apart, each by themselves. Secondly, I found out that the 4 characters, saving they were inverted somewhat, and one of them closed, whereof I found none like, but very near. These characters were every square one. Thirdly, I did take these numbers contained between the lines, some more and some fewer, to be words to be gathered, put of the table of letters, so many words as were distinct companies of numbers. It is, to wit, 41. Hereupon we began to number the squares wherein the letters stood in Enoch's tables as I had them, but we could not exactly find the words, but somewhat near. Hereupon, being tired and desirous to know the sense of that cipher, we left off until after supper, and then we essayed again, but we could not bolt it out, though we knew very near what was to be done by the instruction of a spiritual voice, now and then helping us toward the practice. At length Edward Kelly was willed to go down into his chamber, and I did remain still at our dining table till his return, which was within an hour or somewhat more. And at his return he brought out in writing, and in the, we have this, my applying of numbers for more easy reckoning. So he said 24, 48, 72, 96, 120, 144, 168, 192, 216, 240, 268, 288, 336, 360, 384, 408, 432, 456, 480, 504, 528, 552, 560, 576, 600, 624. And the black cross is right and needeth no mending, but thus much I do to let understand that thou mayest consider thyself to be a man, and beneath this understanding, unless thou submit all into the hands of God for his sake, who else, leaving you all naked, provideth in his creatures to his own glory, cara tebe uxor, carior tebe sapientia, carissimis tebe ego sum electas tremis, eo hesitanto peccas, nalea egatur ad genium, eo carmen set per sed ab tempora mehe doctor enem tuus sum eo author spiritas omnem hec omnia a me sunt, eo licita vobis. I admonish you as the children of God to consider your vocation and the love of God toward towards you, and not to prefer your reason for the wisdom of the highest, whose mercy is so great towards you, that you were chosen from the number of men to walk with him, and understand his mysteries, and with all to execute his justice and praise throughout the nations and the peoples of the earth. Consider that if he find you otherwise, the plagues of heinous sinners and contemners of the gifts of God shall fall upon you to your great overthrow. This is the last time of your trial. Therefore show yourselves lovers of him that hath led you and covered you with a mighty shield, or shortly look for the reward of such as have contemned the wisdom and majesty of the highest. I, Raphael, counsel you to make a covenant with the highest, and to esteem his wings more than your own lives. And he said, when Edward Kelly brought me these things, I greatly rejoiced in spirit, and was utterly resolved to obey this new doctrine to us, particularly of all people of the world, enjoined and of some little discourse and conference hereof. We went to bed this 20th day of April at night, and of course one of the things that we run into with this is that the Enochian Black Cross is not included. And if the Black Cross were included, we'd have 675 squares, because it's 25 by 27, right? And we have it by, what? A series of 8 columns that are 6 by, it's supposed to be 13, right? 5, yeah. So the first column, Rizalath, Ardze, Kazonsa, Toitetas, Sigasso, Famonda, Oroyiba, Tana, Barv, Oyi. Yeah. Abamoo, Naokot, Okanma, Yaller. And then below that we have Boazar, Vanaxo, Aegrun, or Pumne, Restones, is Yinruk, Mordea, Okanka, Arbizum, Opanal, Dolope, Ruxpaok, Exteev. And the second row of columns, the first one, Etulpa, Depalam, Rukyavab, Opakok, Merbuznab, Tedyare, Hauzpe, Yxgasad, Paloe, Oakvaka, Tenpernat, Gotre, Apmazox, Ophara, Pasondan, O Umagag, Nug Bial, Yerlimov, Zyamhul, Yahkutga, Yas Umat, Lepez, Amsamap, Nye Anba, Siz Yixip, Estrium. And the third row of columns, Ta'u Adav, Abko'u, To Gakon, Nahodye, Patakse, Sa'a Yiksa, Mapars, Mamglo, Ola Adan, palkoe nadasnas yedipon psurgenhut donpat olowagi op amno apleste sikmio vavsugad wiptia ksvaken siodao thalt tud dixomo o odixze ragu anan. And the fourth set of 2 columns, put dunyum rom ibib xma lugum alka ao of sipson arveroy lagayol yunlirux gatapa dexpaken evaasa sed aspe arndil, that will be backwards, dano a o ub ava vagmudnum dika op namloks levre up apdoke razirza yenruzvam na dere nes Josip ap anle kakrar. And is it the R? The final R? Is that the backwards one? I'm not sure I can spell all this, but I'll try to spell it in the next one and try to reread it. And I guess we've already had the plea of John Dee's wife the last time that we, was the final thing shared in Latin here. Razielaf etelpa tawandav padanyam arndaze da palamam korumi kazun sariyavam tunga konksmalangam toi tazopakok nahonde alkaus